Kirky asks, denominations I should be looking at for my collection. Larger bars/rounds over smaller ones. Some mix of them, etc. Also, is there any advantage or disadvantage to investing more in coins over bars or vice versa?
I prefer coins myself, and I'll tell you why. Coin of the realm, so talking sovereigns, half sovereigns, or Britannias, coin of the realm does not carry VAT, and it is not liable for capital gains tax. Bullion is the same. Gold bullion is the same. Silver is different. Leaving that aside for the moment, gold bullion is different. It is my belief that when the government want to make gold holders' lives difficult, it'd be very much easier to claim that if you've got bullion, you're dealing in bullion, and therefore make it easier for capital gains tax, for example. It's very much more difficult, major legislation, to put VAT on coin of the realm, if not impossible. So if you're holding bullion, you're slightly more vulnerable in my view. If you're buying it in your pension fund, if you have a self-invested pension fund, you have to hold bullion. But it's in a tax-free environment anyway, capital gains tax-free environment anyway. So it doesn't really matter quite so much. So I would argue coinage is the way to go. And it's the way I've gone.
Gold revaluation, and when do you think the Bank of England will start purchasing gold?
Well, of course, we all know what an absolute Burke Gordon Brown was when he sold our nation's reserve of gold for $250 an ounce. The man's a complete buffoon, absolutely ghastly. What can we do with these politicians and these chancellors and these governors of banks of England? I'm not quite sure where the Bank of England is at the moment, but they do have a guy there who's the banker, the governor of the Bank of England, who's a man, Andrew Davis, who simply doesn't understand money, believe me. Hasn't a clue. Doesn't understand it. And most of them don't. I've lectured at banks, would you believe? Senior banking personnel I was on the European Union Monetary Committee. Senior bankers from all over Britain, in London, they don't understand banking and money either. You've no idea just how hopeless all these people are. And of course, to quote Henry Ford in 1926, I think it was, he said, if people understood how banks work, they'd never invest in a bank. They'd never put their money in a bank. And he's absolutely right. They're absolutely hopeless. When will they start buying gold again or try to replenish the gold? I don't know. Most central banks now are buying gold hand over fist in almost panic buy mode. So I would say the answer to that is soon. And of course, we don't know where the gold that central banks have been holding or has gone in the past. So I'll give you an example of that. Germany sent its gold to the United States because they were too close to the Soviet Union, the Soviet border, and it went there for safekeeping. Several years ago, they asked for their gold back. It didn't come back. We don't know whether they've still got it. They sent some of it back. The Americans refused to have a gold audit, so they won't let anybody in to count the gold, which makes you suspicious. Venezuela sent gold to London, London bullion, for safekeeping in Venezuela. The British government doesn't like the Venezuelan government, so they've confiscated the gold. Russians had gold in London and money in London, and the government confiscated anybody's money if they had a Russian name. As I say, it's kleptocracy. They just steal the money. There's no law in this. There's no law. They didn't go through a legal procedure to confiscate this money. They just confiscated it because politicians just think they can do, and bankers think they can do whatever they like, as indeed they do. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to wait and see. We live in unprecedented times, and we are make no mistake, we're on the edge of the abyss. This is far more serious. All you're getting from BBC, Sky TV, Channel 4, the newspaper, is total and utter bullshit. They are simply lying in their teeth. We are facing a very, very serious financial, monetary and banking crisis. Make no mistake about it.
Next from Adam. Physical silver in the UK. Is it worth it given the premiums and VAT?
That's a very good question as well. I've been working on this quite hard for my own portfolio. It's not really at the moment. You have 20% VAT and there's around about a 10% premium on silver at the moment because there isn't any silver. There's an absolute lack of silver all over the world because it's an industrial metal as well. So the answer is no, not at the moment. But I'm working with people in the marketplace, reputable people, and I'll get back onto my website with that when I have more information, that you can buy silver at spot in specie, allocated silver in specie at spot price, which is under £20 an ounce at the moment. Silver is amazingly cheap. Silver is really cheap. It's just almost impossible to get at it by the time you paid VAT and a premium. But I am working on it and I will find a way. The market will find a way. I'm researching it. And as soon as I can, I will let everybody know on my website. If I could buy silver at spot today at under £20 an ounce, I'd go and buy a wheelbarrow full of it. But you just can't do that.
Historically, silver has always been closer value to gold. Will it return, and is it a good investment?
Well, I think I've really answered that one on the previous question. Certainly, it is a good investment because it's a precious metal and it's also an industrial metal. It's just that ordinary people can't buy it at the right price at the moment. But if we could buy it at the right price, yes, indeed, it's good. And it's very much lagging gold at the moment. It's lagging gold. It's normally much closer. The ratio is closer. It's normally, I think, a ratio of about 60. But I wouldn't like to, but I haven't looked it up. But that's more the historical traditional ratio. Yes, it's a good investment, but not just at the moment until we can work it out.
Next question from Jovan. If at some point the banks go to digital currency and have more control of our accounts, is it still safe to put gold in safety deposit boxes? What is the best route to store your gold?
Another good question, which we get asked quite a lot. There's a number of answers to this. If you have a lot of gold, if you've got a really big portfolio of gold in specie, it needs to be in safe deposit boxes. Obviously, you can't keep that kind of money at home because you might get obviously burgled. But again, as I say, of course, the people most likely to burgle you are the government. But notwithstanding that, if it's in an independent safe deposit box, of which there are a number, perfectly reputable ones, not in a bank, because if push comes to shove, the banks will do as they're told by the government, and they'll just simply open all the deposit boxes and see what gold's in there and confiscate it. But it's much more difficult for them to do that in an independent environment. I use Sharps Pixley, one of the people I use, Sharps Pixley in London, with state-of-the-art security, and you pay 250 quid for a box or whatever it is a year. Very good, very nice people, and certainly I would consider them. There are others. I used to use one in Leeds as well. That's another good one. Spread it around a bit, Leeds, London, and all the rest of it. To be honest, if you're not a big investor, if you've just got a sort of 20 or 30 sovereigns, for example, and nobody knows you've got it, I include your family, keep it in the tea caddy. Because if people don't know you've got it, even if you get burgled, they'll nick the TV, not the tea caddy. But you'll have to secrete it, but you'll have to come to that sort of arrangement on your own. As most of you know, my work is very heavily independently research based. And I get my information from all over the world. It would help if you press the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, because the more subscribers I have, the more likely it is that international independent research institutes will share their material with me. It's most helpful, and then of course I automatically share it with you. So surprise, won't cost you anything. Thank you very much.